What's going on, everyone? So every opening scene in the Scream franchise is meant to be very impactful and be the kind of tone setter for the film going forward, right? And Scream has done a very good job with that for the most part. The only one that I really wasn't a fan of was Scream 4, right? The movie and a movie and a movie. I thought, like, if you did it like once or twice, like, but just like kind of kept going. It's just like, I don't know. Some people seem to love it. Some people seem to hate it. I'm not talking about the overall movie. I'm talking about just like the opening scene. Could have done without that opening scene. I get you're trying to, be clever and do something different, which, I always applaud creativity, especially in today's world, right? Like, there's just such lack of creativity. But it didn't hit for me personally. I wasn't a big fan of it personally. But you think of some of the like ones that like really stand out in general. Obviously, Drew Barrymore was iconic. They had everyone believe that she was going to be the main character, the final girl, which originally was the intentions, and then her to end up dying in the opening scene really just changed kind of horror, period, right? And then, I thought, even like in Scream 5, where they kind of emulated that with Tara, and then, Jenna Ortega, I thought she knocked it out of the park. I thought she did a really good job. Cotton Weary was very memorable, right? Like, you kind of go down the list of all these, like, these Scream movies, even Scream 2, again, they've all had these really great opening, memorable scenes that I think if you look at this upcoming film, what would be a great way to kind of do something different, have it be memorable, and kind of, again, set the tone for the film going forward? Well, I think it would make a lot of sense to have Sidney be the opening scene. Now, that doesn't have to necessarily mean be the kill. Obviously, they're not going to kill Sidney because, one, it's Sidney, and two, she's the main focus in this film. But I do think that there is an avenue to where you could do something really creative, maybe kind of touch some new ground here that what we got, where, show how prepared Sidney is, right? Maybe Ghostface or two Ghostface show up, go to try to take out Sidney, and Sidney's prepared, ready, boom, takes both of them out, right? Supposedly, her youngest children are with the grandmother, right? And, there were reports that have came out about, like, some details on that I won't go into because I don't want to, like, spoil anything for anybody that don't want that. But, you have little, like, details that have came out. Nothing significant. There hasn't been anything major that has came out, or at least that I've seen. But, like, having Sidney, maybe her and her husband are having just, like, a night out or whatever, and Ghostface shows up and she just, like, takes them out, right? And then from a movie standpoint, she thinks it's over. She thinks, like, okay, boom, I was able to just easy, clean, get in, get out, take out Ghostface, right? Absolute tank. But then, because we know this is a movie, and from an audience perspective, like, oh no, this is just the beginning. Especially if they end up doing the cult route and all that stuff, it would make sense that, there would be multiple Ghostface, right? That there would be, more than 2, 3, right? Like, and I mean, if you look at Scream 6, for example, like, technically there were 5, right? There were the 3 that were revealed at the end, and then there was Jason and Greg, and, they get taken out early. And I think you could do something like that where, it is in the sense of, like, Ghostface dies early, but it's not through the hands of another Ghostface, it's through the hands of Sidney, right? And, maybe you get an early Ghostface reveal, and maybe, like, Sidney and them have no idea who it is, and it kind of is the beginning of this sort of mystery. And it's like, well, why did these people want to kill Sidney? Why did these people want to do that? And then now you kind of have the aftermath of that, which would be cool. It'd be fun to see that, because we've never really gotten, like, the aftermath of, like, Sidney killing Ghostface, right? And then supposedly she's labeled the angel of death again in this. So maybe that kind of causes some rifts, causes some problems and issues, right? Maybe her and Mark get into some, confrontations or stuff like that, or start fighting with the neighbors or whatever, because now no one feels safe. I think it'd be a great way to really kind of raise the tension here. Maybe one of the neighbors or, the babysitter or something like that ends up getting killed. And, Sidney comes home and finds the babysitter dead, and, Ghostface shows up and, knocks her out or knocks her down or whatever for a moment, but she's like super prepared. She's got guns everywhere, right? Like it's a fortress essentially, right? That she lives in. And she comes in and she just takes him out and kind of moves on. I think that could be something that could really kind of set the tone again and give you a very creative Scream film, right? Because you'd also get all the reactions and responses from all the various characters that are going to be in this, right? And it would make sense that, now Sidney's kind of on high alert and Sidney's kind of, very protective of her daughter now and is like, hey, I don't want you going out. I don't want you doing this, right? We got to make sure, like, no one else is coming or anything like that. And everyone's just kind of like, you have tensions high. And you kind of build through that. You kind of build with that in a way that I think could be very interesting. And just to have Sidney be the opening scene, obviously we know what she can do from an acting standpoint. And I do think you could have kind of this unique place where, she, like I said, she comes home and, the babysitter or, one of her neighbors or something is like dead on her couch or something. And, she's getting ready to prepare. Ghostface ambushes. She takes out both Ghostface or a Ghostface or several Ghostface, whatever. And it's kind of the beginning, right? It's like, I mean, obviously from a movie standpoint, we know that it's just the beginning, but also maybe from, her standpoint, right? Maybe there's some evidence of like, oh, more coming. There's a cult coming or whatever. And maybe, her daughter, Tatum, is like, Mom, like, you're crazy. Like, I understand you were just attacked. I understand that, came back or whatever. Or like, something like that. Like, I could see something interesting in that regard. I think you could really build a very interesting story in that manner. And then kind of use Sidney and her family and Ghostface and all that stuff as like the jumping point. Now, all the neighbors look weird to her. All the people in the town that she's in look weird, right? Like, all of those things I think could really kind of drive this movie and put Sidney in a very interesting position, right? Where, she's like, okay, maybe it is over, but it's not over. And then people start dying again. And it's just like, oh no, this is only the beginning. So now she's even extra on high alert. Like you could see the build up and, you laying kind of the foundation and groundwork to then kind of carry that into the remainder of the film. I personally like the idea. I think it would be kind of interesting. I think it'd be pretty cool. It'd be a new standard for Scream, because we've never seen Sidney Prescott be attacked in the opening scene. But I do think either way, right? You got to have a great opening scene, right? You got to have a great Ghostface that is menacing. You got to really, again, set the tone, set the standard with these films. Particularly with the opening scene. Again, the opening scene has always been very iconic for Scream. Again, the only one that I wasn't really a huge fan of was Scream 4. But again, I still applaud their creativity. I still applaud them trying to take that risk and do something different that was a little out of the box, a little out of the norm. And also you could argue, it was foreshadowing for the rest of the movie, right? Like all of that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you want to see Sidney as the opening scene? Again, not the opening scene kill. They're not going to kill her in the opening scene, just the opening scene attack, especially now that we've kind of set the standard with, like, Tara, right? Where she didn't die. So, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, either way, love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me not. We enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.